Okay, so no one actually asked this video, but I thought, why don't I give you a little sewing room tour and show you where I do all my sewing. So spoiler alert, it's not too exciting. I do all my sewing in my room because I am still a teenager and don't own a house, but it has got obviously all of my sewing things, and I thought, why don't I give you a little tour and show you where everything is made and where it is and what lives where. So yeah, let's go. Starting strong, we have my mannequin. Oh, hello, I'm not in frame. So starting strong, we have my mannequin. So she sits here sort of in the corner of my room by the window. She's actually a tiny little bit too big for me, so I don't really do much draping on her. I'm not really a draper, I'm sort of just a doer. I just sort of like make it up as I go along, to be honest. I do a lot of stuff obviously fitting it on myself, but yeah, I don't really use the mannequin that much fitting things just because she is a tiny bit too big for me. I usually have something on her though, like just to have one of my dresses like on display. It's quite nice to see. Nothing at the moment. I mean, this was almost on it. This is my Renaissance Rapunzel dress, work in progress. She's not, because she laces up at the front, it wouldn't fit. It's okay if things lace up at the back because you can kind of fit them on the front and then they're fine. But anyway, I mean, we do have my little hennin on the top here. Nice place. And tape measure, because I'm always using a tape measure and always losing them. Feel I have far too many and they just disappear. They just absolutely, it's like hairbands. You know, you already have as many as you need, but they just seem to run away. I don't know. Anyway, obviously using them all the time. So here is my desk with my sewing machine. So this is where I do most of my sewing. This actually used to be my sister's desk when she was in this room, which she no longer is anymore, but I still use this desk. So yeah, I have my sewing machine here, and she mostly lives in this spot because I'm usually always sewing something, so just makes sense to sort of leave her here. And then on this side we've got a jar, that's not a jar, a mug of thread and bobbins and things. My little sewing jelly cat friend, she sort of sits and watches me sew. And then I have, well, you can see up here I've got lots of books. So this is where I keep on this shelf all of my sewing adjacent books. The reason two of them are down here is because they're too big that they won't fit on this shelf, so they sit down here. They are fashion history books, which, by the way, these two, such a bargain. £5 from the charity shop for both of them. Such a steal. Anyway, so up here we've got, what can I remember? Well, we've got some books from the V&A. Yeah, they're all like fashion textile books. I have a whole book on buttons, which is just absolutely wonderful. I think I'm obsessed with that. Speaking of, we've got a jar of buttons. I have lots of buttons all around my room. This is one of many. Yeah, so this is sort of my little sewing corner. I have a few drawings and sketches up, which I don't think you can actually see from this angle, so I may have to show you. But yeah, so this is where I do most of my sewing, and if I'm using a different machine, so if I'm using my overlocker, I literally just switch over, so I'll put my overlocker here and I still sit here and use it. Yeah, so I spend most of my time like this with really bad posture, and then every now and then I'm like, oh my god, let me sit up. But yeah, this is my cozy little sewing corner, which is where I spend most of my time sewing. Speaking of machines and such, up here we have all my other sewing machines. So this is my overlocker. She's got a dust jacket on at the moment just because we don't want dust getting inside the machine and then making my life hell, because then I've got to clean it all out again every time I use it. So she's got a dust jacket on. This is obviously like a recent addition, and oh my god, oh, best birthday present ever. So good. Okay, these are my older machines. So this one, they're both Singers. This one round here you can't really see, but I'll show you in a minute. So this one I got like 2 years ago now, maybe. I got it from a Village Fate, and she is from 1893, I think. I can't remember exactly, I think that. But she still mostly works. It's a hand turning machine, and I just think she's gorgeous. And again, £10 I got that for, so what bargain. And she's beautiful, and yeah, so she lives on the shelf. Next here we have my other Singer machine, and this one inarguably is a lot more special to me. Well, it's technically a family heirloom. So this was my great grandmother's sewing machine, whom I never had the pleasure of knowing, unfortunately. This was her machine, and when she passed away, her son had it in his house, and unfortunately he passed away. Since, you know, family found it again, rediscovered it, and they asked me if I would want to have it, obviously because, you know, sewing is a very important part of my life, And so I said yes, and it is a very special machine for that reason. Not only is it gorgeous, in gorgeous condition, this one has like a pedal. It's electric, you know, you plug it in. So yeah, this one is very special to me, and obviously, you know, very well preserved. She's in her case at the moment. That also helps keep the dust off it and keeps it from, you know, getting ruined. But probably my favourite machine, because it's just very sentimental and special. So yeah. So you are on my sewing desk, and there is one thing I want to mention, because I feel like people ask me this and talk about my actual sewing machine for a minute. So people, I think a lot of people assume that if you want to be able to sew things that look really cool or good or whatever, or just sew anything, that you need to have a really good, really fancy, expensive sewing machine, and this is just not true. And to prove that to you, so this is my sewing machine, which I want to talk about for a minute. This was from the middle aisle of Lidl. Before it was mine, it was my sister's. My parents got it for her. It's literally from Lidl, so it's not a fancy name brand, you know, and obviously that's not to discourage people from getting a name brand sewing machine. They are said to be good for a reason. That's because they are good sewing machines. But I don't think you need to spend loads of money to be able to sew using a machine. You can use any machine. This one has lasted me like 5 years of consistent sewing all the time. I mean, you can see how much stuff I've sewn with just this machine alone. Like, it's lasted so long, and I think that it just goes to show that you don't need a fancy or expensive machine. It really doesn't matter. A machine is a machine at the end of the day. Obviously, yes, there are some that are supposed to be higher quality. You're investing and you know that you'll use it lots. Yeah, of course. But you don't need to break the bank to be able to sew or use a sewing machine. Promise. Okay, so this is my costume rack. She's looking a bit worse for wear at the moment because I took loads of stuff off the other day and I haven't put it back all properly. But this is where I keep a lot of my, either like my favourite costumes or my recent costumes, because you can sort of see them a little bit more, and it's nice to just have that. Obviously they're not properly on display, but it's nice to be able to see them a bit instead of just folding them away in a cupboard. Obviously, these are all costumes using fabrics that either including or mostly synthetic fibres, or they've been treated in some way. Because if you leave out natural fibre fabrics like cotton in the sun, they're going to get sun bleached, and you don't want to do that. So any of the dresses I've made that are cotton or any natural fibre are hidden away because I don't want them to get ruined, basically. So yeah, we have my little costume rack. I fear I may need a bigger one, to be honest, but she's cute and she fits quite nicely between my bookshelf and my desk. That's my desk, which has got my mirror on it, I think, at the moment. I used to have my sewing machine there, but actually it's quite nice where it is at the moment because there's that sort of separation from my bed. I used to have stuff just all over my bed. I mean, I still wake up with pins in my bed, but you know, that's another issue, okay? So this is where I keep my fabric, or most of it anyway. So I have these like IKEA shelving units, which, I mean, you can see there's loads of bins and stuff. It's not all sewing things. I mean, I'll be honest, there is a lot of sewing stuff in those boxes, but it's not all sewing things. So here, I've recently done this where I've started organising my fabric so that it's on display, and I find that really helpful because I have a lot of fabric. A lot of things I buy secondhand, so what I'll do is, if I'm going to a charity shop, I'll be looking out for certain fabrics that I know I'll use, that I'm interested in buying, and I'll buy them. And then did you see Murphy walk past the camera? He's so cute. So I'll buy things, either if I'm in the shop, I'll be like, oh my gosh, I know exactly what I can use this for, or oftentimes I'll see a fabric and I'll think, yes, 100% I know I can use it, and then the idea comes a little bit later. Because it's obviously secondhand and it's not as expensive, I can sort of afford to do that, if that makes sense. If I buy things new, I'm always buying them new with a specific project in mind. Anyway, tangent over. So we've got them sort of by colour. I need to shift some of these around, I think, but all the red up here, I've got a lot of red. I find that I really like making red costumes, I think. I just like red. And then lots of purples and pinks. I've been collecting purples and pinks for a long time, especially because Rapunzel, basically, one word, Rapunzel. That's why there's lots of them. And then down here we've got sort of greens. On the other side of this, we've got blues, lots of blue together, and then white and then sort of like miscellaneous colours, but it's just nice to be able to visually see it. I can sort of just look over and be like, oh yes, I've got this, I could use this for that, or this for this, blah, 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 whatever. So it's just really helpful when like designing and just thinking about the things I want to make, and I can see what I've got, what I don't have, what I want to look out for. Like visually it's really helpful. Like if I'm going to the charity shop, as I was saying, like recently I've been like, okay, purples and pinks, look out for them, and obviously then looking for fabrics that I would use. I'm like, yeah, okay, purple, pink, that's what I'm mostly set on. But yeah, so that's my fabric. Okay, and then up here in various boxes we have sewing things. So this one has got some sewing stuff in it, embroidery hoop, trim, just sort of like miscellaneous bits that sort of like need to be kept in one place or they're going to cause a mess. This box, this bin, does also have fabric in it. It's a lot like older and more like scrap, so there's like not a lot. Like most of the things I have here, not all of them, most of them are like there's enough that I can make a skirt or at least a bodice or use it for sleeves or something. It's not like up here is more like offcuts, if that makes sense. But yeah, just thought I would show you briefly. This is what the other side looks like. So we've got whites. I get a lot of like white bed sheets and duvet covers and things like that because they're really good for things like chemises, underskirts, and those like base layers they're really helpful for. And then yeah, we've got lots of blue up here and then some sort of like miscellaneous. Yeah. And then over here we have my costume cupboard, or the costume half of my wardrobe. So literally earlier this week, I went through and organised this all. So it's looking a lot neater now than it did before. Oh, it's so nice to look at now that it's not an absolute state. We've got some stuff hanging up here in sort of boxes, a box of skirts, a box of just old dresses, a little box of bodices and things. Yeah, loads of stuff in here. But that's good because it's now, like I said, it's now nice and organised. And on the back of my door we have cloaks, because of course we do. My red cloak and my blue sparkly cloak. Hey, you never know when you're gonna need a cloak, okay? I realised there was one thing I didn't show you, so I'm going to show you that briefly. So I did show you my sewing desk, but let me turn around. Up higher, oh, can you see up there? So we've got, that's all like white lacy fabrics, and I did have more fabric up there, but then the shelf broke, so I resorted to only putting very lightweight fabric up there, as you can see. And then we've got buttons, lots of jars of buttons at the top. I can't believe I forgot to show you that. I'm sorry, my bad, but there you go. But yeah, that's pretty much everything, to be honest. I hope you enjoyed that little sewing room tour, just a little quick one today. Yeah, I think, you know, you don't need to have a big fancy space or a special sewing room to do all of your sewing and to create great fun things. Obviously it would be nice, you know, when I'm older, hopefully I'll have my own house. I mean, in this economy, who knows? I hope that one day I will own my own house and hopefully have a sewing room, but that might be asking too much. But yeah, that's pretty much everything, to be honest. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, maybe give it a like, that would make me smile. Maybe subscribe if you want to see more. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today. If you're watching this, I'm at university. Ah, that's so scary. I'm sure I'm having a great time. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video, and maybe I'll see you next time. Keep sewing.